this mini-arc comes to a close. It's a bit sloppy, but there are some heartfelt moments executed well, along with a dive into surrealism. Let's get recapping. The gang have an absolutely miserable time hiking up Mount Mudboat. Furthermore, an irritated Tomei antagonizes the rest of the crew, only piling on to the group's collective frustration. Mob eases the tension by offering Tomei a hand, which boosts her morale to continue on. While they manage to finally reach the peak, they also forgot a book with an alien summoning spell in it. However, Takanaka had researched the night before, carrying notes for the summoning spell. Tomei is ready to turn back, but Takanaka reads her mind out loud, revealing she didn't want to drag her friends through a fantasy that is not likely to become real. Her fellow club members ease her worries, and they all join Takanaka in the ritual, except for Reagan. He's able to see through Takanaka, who confesses that the book is just a bunch of bull and the author was a charlatan. But Mob is not ready to give in after hearing there were real UFO sightings here. He blasts his energy into the sky. With no sign in the stars, they're ready to pack it up. Then, suddenly, real, actual, genuine aliens appear and greet the gang. The extraterrestrials invite them on their ship. In a shocking reveal, it turns out the aliens aren't all that different from the Telepathy Club. They're complete slobs as well. Everyone enjoys goofing off and playing games until the morning. Upon leaving, the aliens offer the group some sort of glowing gem, and the crew offer their own modest gifts. For some reason, Inokawa forgets to leave the ship with the rest of them, and you might think that's the end of the episode, but his journey plays throughout the credits, ending with him completely forgetting the events by the time he makes it back to Earth. Tomei comes across as really grating this episode, and it's not an escalation either. It's just her lashing out at her friends throughout the end of the last episode and the first half of this episode. Personally, I found it really annoying, but there are some key moments that I thought were handled well. At one point, after getting lost in the forest, she says she's ready to turn around. Kijibayashi mentions Tomei should be grateful for what Inokawa and Saruta are doing for her. She reacts by getting upset at being guilt-tripped. I'm inclined to agree with her in this instance. I don't believe the best way to make someone appreciative is to tell them that they should be, especially when they're already irritated at the moment. At the same time, I can understand Kijibayashi's motives. He doesn't want the greatest effort they've probably put into anything ever to go to waste. I'd say it's very effective in creating tension between her and her friends. However, there is an artificial element to the hostility. Tomei keeps bringing up that Takanaka isn't a real telepath, and that they're trying to fool her.
You should know that I am actually a telepath.
Huh? So what? This was just some practical joke? I only let myself get talked into it because you told me you'd gotten a telepath involved. But in the end, that turned out to be just another insult.
This is a bit frustrating because Takanaka could prove her wrong very easily. A counter might be he doesn't want to use his powers like a party trick. He doesn't like using them at all, really. Though he could send a quick message without reading her mind as he's done with others.
Kijibayashi, Saruta.
He's not that apprehensive to read a whole essay from her mind later on, not just a sentence as he had done in the previous episode.
He's one scary dude. Telepaths are not normal.
That's for sure.
He doesn't even bother with an excuse as to why he hadn't shown his powers earlier. However, a strong moment for Takanaka follows this scene. He goes on this trip knowing it's a waste of time, yet seeing as the Telepathy Club is actually committed this time, he can't help feeling bad for them, and at least they can all appreciate the effort made. Mob's last attempt to reach out to the aliens was an absolutely beautiful moment. No more animosity, no more secrets, everyone's finally on the same page, and it's accompanied by a great suitable song, Distorted City Life. That would be a fine end to the arc. Tomei was willing to walk away using her cherished memories as a consolation prize, but it wasn't the end. The initial gag of the alien ship being a mirror of the Telepathy Club was great, but I can't say I wasn't a bit let down with the lack of attempts to communicate and understand these beings. We do get a bit of that with Inokawa's journey, which was mostly played for laughs, but it was something. Ultimately, I have mixed feelings about the conclusion to Tomei's arc. You could say it's about the importance of tackling something even if you believe there's a minuscule chance it'll work out. Although, I just can't get behind the idea that Tomei played such a passive role in what should be her arc. Inokawa is the organizer of the experiment, Mob and Takanaka's powers are used to signal the aliens, Reagan was even vital in giving the kids a lift. I suppose it doesn't sit well that Tomei didn't need to take any more action than just showing up to achieve her dream. But hey, let's talk about a character that's developed the most. I hadn't noticed it until now, a really minor thing. In the last episode, Mob didn't get exhausted from running.
Thank you for coming, Master. I'm sorry we're late.
And in this episode, he not only didn't get exhausted from hiking up the mountain, he offered to help Tomei. All that effort put into training finally paid off. So that was a nice touch. Another fact that I believe is mostly incidental but neat to point out, he just happens to be hanging around with the Telepathy Club, and if it weren't for them, he likely would have not joined the Body Improvement Club. So definitely not one of the better episodes of the season, but not terrible either. The scenes where the crew are goofing off with the aliens and Inokawa's journey were fun. I'm not critical of that decision, but I can't say I wouldn't have traded it for more time spent on Tomei or Takanaka's characters. As aggravating as Tomei constantly harping on her friends was, it did end up being purposeful, as she thought they were wasting their efforts on a cause she hadn't been fully committed to. Takanaka still came across as the best character in the arc, willing to help the club even when he believed this was a futile exercise, because at least they could go home knowing a strong attempt was made. Unfortunately, the animation budget took a huge hit during this episode, especially during the hiking scenes. Really bad too, characters are just off-model right in your face, which hadn't happened in this season until now, but I suppose it's a strategic decision to manage your budget and spend it where it matters most. This series is really wrapping up every loose end possible, leaving only the most personal journey for Mob to undertake. That's all for now.